Let's tell the truth immediately. You're not exhausted because life is unfair. You're not stuck because the world is against you. You're not behind because you lack talent. You're behind because you negotiate with weakness. You said this year would be different. You said this time you would commit. You said you were done playing small. And yet here you are, same patterns, same excuses, same late night scrolling, same unfinished goals sitting in the back of your mind like unpaid debt. How many times have you restarted? Monday motivation, new month reset, New Year resolution. How many times have you looked yourself in the mirror and said, this is it, no more excuses? And how many times did you break that promise? Not to your boss, not to your family, to yourself. That's the part that stings. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you fracture something invisible, self-trust. And without self-trust, you don't have confidence. You have hype. You have temporary emotion. You have short bursts of effort followed by long stretches of regret. Time is not the problem. Time is neutral. 1 hour can build a business. 1 hour can strengthen your body. 1 hour can sharpen your mind. 1 hour can change your trajectory, or 1 hour can disappear into distraction. Time doesn't choose, you do. Right now, somewhere, someone with less talent than you is winning, not because they're gifted, not because they're lucky, because they stop negotiating. They wake up when they say they will. They train when they don't feel like it. They work when it's boring. They execute when it's uncomfortable. Meanwhile, you're waiting to feel ready. You don't need motivation. You need standards. Let's confront something uncomfortable. You're not tired. You're undisciplined. You're tired of starting and stopping, tired of carrying the weight of unrealized potential, tired of knowing you could be more but choosing comfort instead. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, rest a little longer. Start tomorrow. You deserve a break. And one break becomes a habit. One delay becomes a lifestyle. One excuse becomes your identity. Look at your life objectively, not emotionally, not defensively, objectively. Are you operating anywhere near your capacity? Or are you operating at the level that feels convenient? Because there's a difference between being overwhelmed and being unwilling. And deep down, you know which one it is. Imagine this, it's late at night, no notifications, no noise, no one watching. You're standing in front of a mirror, no audience, no applause, no validation, just you. Can you honestly say you're proud of your daily standards, not your dreams, not your intentions, your daily execution? This hour is not here to entertain you. It's not here to hype you up and send you back to the same habits. This hour is confrontation. This is the hour where excuses die. Because here's the brutal truth. Nobody is coming to save you. No mentor is going to knock on your door. No opportunity is going to drag you out of bed. No one is going to care more about your future than you do. You are both the problem and the solution. And that should empower you. Because if you're the problem, you're also in control. Right now, there is a war happening inside your head. Future you is begging for discipline. Present you is addicted to comfort. Future you wants growth. Present you wants ease. Future you wants pride. Present you wants convenience. Only one version survives. The question is simple. Which one are you feeding? By the end of this hour, you will make a decision. Not an emotional decision, not a temporary burst of motivation, a standard. You will either continue negotiating with weakness, or you will become someone who does what they said they would do no matter how they feel. This can be the most powerful 60 minutes of your year, or it can be another hour you let slip through your fingers. Decide carefully, because the clock is already running. You think your problem is lack of time. You think your problem is lack of resources. You think your problem is pressure, stress, responsibilities. No, your problem is negotiation. The war isn't out there. It's in your head. Every morning there's a conversation. The alarm goes off. One voice says, get up. The other says, you need more rest. One says, train. The other says, you had a long day yesterday. One says, focus. The other says, check your phone first. That's the battlefield. And there are no spectators. No one sees this fight. No one applauds when you win it. No one criticizes when you lose it. But every single day, the result of that invisible battle shapes your future. Let's expose the enemy clearly. It's the voice that says, tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll be disciplined. Tomorrow I'll go all in. Tomorrow I'll change. Tomorrow is the most dangerous word in your vocabulary, because tomorrow feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels like you're planning, but it's just delayed discomfort. And delayed discomfort compounds into permanent regret. Here's how it really works. You don't quit dramatically. You micro quit. You don't say, I give up on my goals forever. You say, just not today. You don't say, I'll never train again. You say, I'll skip this session. You don't say, I'm lazy. You say, I'm just tired. Micro quit decisions, tiny compromises, small deviations, and they seem harmless. But every micro quit is a vote for the version of you that avoids challenge, a vote for the version of you that seeks comfort, a vote for the version of you that stays average. The war isn't dramatic, it's subtle, it's quiet. It sounds logical. That's what makes it dangerous. Because your mind is intelligent. It doesn't attack you with obvious weakness. It disguises weakness as reason. I'll start when I have more energy. I work better under pressure. I just need the right mood. I deserve a break. That's rationalized weakness. You are arguing in favor of your own limitations. And you're winning those arguments. Let's separate two things clearly: mental fatigue and mental avoidance. Mental fatigue is real, but most of what you call fatigue is resistance. You're not exhausted from effort. You're exhausted from thinking about effort. You're drained by anticipation, not execution. Because once you start, something interesting happens. The resistance fades. Momentum builds. Energy follows action, but you rarely get to that point because the negotiation kills you before you begin. There are two forces inside you. One wants expansion. One wants safety. One wants growth. One wants comfort. Think of it like two wolves. One wolf feeds on discipline, discomfort, delayed gratification, standards. The other feeds on dopamine, shortcuts, ease, emotional impulses. Both are inside you. Both are hungry. The one you feed grows stronger. Right now, ask yourself honestly, which wolf have you been feeding? When things get hard, do you lean into the friction? Or do you search for escape? When work gets boring, do you double down or do you look for stimulation? When progress slows, do you adjust and continue? Or do you emotionally detach? This is not about motivation, it's about identity under pressure. Because disciplined people are not emotionless. They feel the same resistance you do. The difference, they don't negotiate with it. They hear the voice, and they act anyway. That's execution. Emotional decision-making says, I'll do it when I feel like it. Disciplined execution says, I do it because I said I would. One is mood-based, the other is standard-based. Mood fluctuates. Standards don't. Right now, your life is a reflection of which system you operate under. If you only move when inspired, you will always be inconsistent. If you only act when it feels good, you will avoid what makes you grow. And growth never feels convenient. The war inside your head will never disappear. There is no level where discipline becomes automatic forever. There is no success tier where resistance stops showing up. The difference at higher levels is simple. The negotiation becomes shorter. Elite performers don't have fewer doubts. They just shut them down faster. They don't entertain weakness. They don't debate with it. They don't give it a microphone. They recognize it as the enemy and move. So here's the shift. Stop trying to silence the voice. You don't need silence. You need dominance. The voice can speak, but it doesn't get a vote. Because from this point forward, you are not fighting the world. You are identifying the traitor within. And once you see the enemy clearly, you can stop being surprised by it. Now that you know where the war is happening, the next question is even more uncomfortable. Why is weakness winning so often? Let's go deeper. Let's expose something most people never question. Your environment is designed to make you soft, not accidentally, systematically. Everything around you is optimized for ease. Food without effort, entertainment without limits, validation without achievement, pleasure without discipline. And the more you indulge in it, the less tolerance you have for discomfort. Comfort is not neutral. Comfort is addictive. It hits the brain the same way any drug does: small, quick bursts of dopamine. Scroll, swipe, snack, stream, repeat, tiny rewards, no resistance. And your brain starts rewiring itself around that pattern. Immediate gratification becomes the default. Effort becomes optional. Discomfort becomes threatening. Now think about what success requires. Long periods of boredom, repetition, delayed gratification, isolation, failure, silence, uncertainty. That doesn't compete well against instant pleasure. So your brain chooses the easier reward, not because you're weak, but because you've trained it that way. Cheap stimulation is replacing earned satisfaction. You used to have to struggle to feel accomplished. Now you can feel stimulated in seconds, and stimulation feels like progress. But it isn't. There's a difference between being entertained and being fulfilled. Entertainment distracts. Fulfillment demands effort. The tragedy is this: you can live your entire life comfortably distracted and never realize how far below your potential you operated. That's the trap. Comfort doesn't destroy you violently, it erodes you slowly. Like water against stone, you don't notice the damage day to day. You only notice it years later when you look back and ask, how did I end up here? Comfort erodes resilience. When everything is easy, your tolerance for difficulty shrinks. Miss one workout, it feels massive. One rejection, devastating. One bad day, you spiral. Why? Because you've trained your nervous system to expect smooth roads. And life does not promise smooth roads. The stronger you want to become, the higher your tolerance for friction must be. Muscle doesn't grow in comfort. It grows through micro tears, through stress, through resistance. When you lift heavy weight, you're not destroying the muscle, you're signaling adaptation. Stress applied intentionally builds capacity. The same applies mentally. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. When you avoid hard conversations, your confidence shrinks. When you avoid difficult work, your skill stagnates. When you avoid physical strain, your body weakens. Growth only exists in voluntary discomfort. Read that carefully. Voluntary. Life will force discomfort on you, eventually. Loss, setbacks, hardship. But if you never train yourself through chosen difficulty, forced difficulty will crush you. There's a difference between someone who occasionally faces hardship and someone who trains in it daily. One reacts emotionally, the other responds strategically. Comfort conditions you to panic under pressure. Discomfort conditions you to stay composed. Think about the ice bath. The first few seconds are chaos. Your body screams, your breath spikes, your mind demands escape. But if you stay in it, something changes. Your breathing stabilizes, your nervous system adapts, your mind regains control. You didn't eliminate discomfort. You expanded your capacity to handle it. That's the point. You don't become powerful by removing difficulty. You become powerful by increasing tolerance. Now let's go deeper. Why is comfort so dangerous? Because it feels harmless. You don't feel weak while you're comfortable. You feel relaxed, you feel safe, you feel balanced. But comfort has a hidden cost. Reduced ambition. When your baseline state is ease, striving feels extreme. Hard work feels aggressive. Discipline feels intense. Excellence feels unnecessary. So you lower your standards to match your environment. And the environment is soft. Look around. Most people are overstimulated and underdeveloped. Endless content, minimal execution, high opinions, low output. You can consume motivation for hours without moving a muscle. You can watch success without pursuing it. That is engineered weakness. You are being trained to observe life instead of dominate it. Comfort makes you passive. And passivity kills potential. Now consider hardened steel. Steel becomes strong under heat and pressure. Soft soil collapses under weight. Which one are you becoming? If every inconvenience frustrates you, if every obstacle discourages you, if every uncomfortable task drains you, that's not bad luck, that's low discomfort tolerance. And discomfort tolerance is trainable. Here's the shift you must make. Stop seeking comfort as a reward. Start seeking discomfort as a weapon. The workout you want to skip, that's training. The focused hour you want to delay, that's training. The hard skill you're avoiding, that's training. Every moment of chosen difficulty expands your capacity. Every moment of avoidance shrinks it. And capacity determines output. Let's talk about suffering. Not dramatic suffering, intentional suffering. Waking up early when you don't feel like it. Finishing the last set when it burns. Working in silence when you crave distraction. Studying when you're bored. Practicing when you're frustrated. That kind of suffering builds identity. It tells your brain, I can endure. And once your brain believes that, everything changes. Confidence stops being fake. It becomes earned. Resilience stops being theoretical. It becomes embodied. You don't fear hard things, you expect them. Comfort addicts avoid pressure. Disciplined individuals seek it because they understand something most people don't. Pressure reveals who you are. And if you avoid pressure, you avoid discovering your strength. Right now, your life is structured around minimizing discomfort. Comfortable temperature, comfortable schedule, comfortable conversations, comfortable routines. But your goals are not comfortable. Your potential is not comfortable. Your future requires a version of you that can operate under strain. So here's the uncomfortable question. Are you training for the life you want? Or are you training for convenience? Every scroll trains distraction. Every skipped challenge trains avoidance. Every rationalized excuse trains weakness. But every difficult decision trains power. Comfort is a drug. It gives you relief now and steals capacity later. Discomfort is an investment. It costs you now and multiplies you later. You cannot build an elite mind in a comfort-obsessed lifestyle. You must choose soft and safe or sharp and capable. And once you see comfort as the trap it is, you can't unsee it. Now the enemy is clear. The war is internal. The environment is engineered for weakness. The next step is even more personal because comfort doesn't just weaken your habits. It fractures something deeper, your identity. Let's make this personal. Not productivity, not hacks, not routines, character. Because the real damage of quitting isn't external, it's internal. Every time you say you're gonna do something and you don't just lose progress, you lose credibility with yourself. And that is far more dangerous. When you break a promise to someone else, you feel guilt. When you break a promise to yourself, you create doubt. And doubt is poison to identity. You told yourself you'd wake up early, you hit snooze. You told yourself you'd train consistently, you skipped. You told yourself you'd focus, you drifted. Each time seems small, but identity is not built in dramatic moments, it's built in repeated decisions. Identity is evidence-based. You don't believe what you say about yourself. You believe what you prove to yourself. If you consistently execute, you start to think, I am disciplined. If you consistently fold, you start to think, I lack discipline. And once that belief sets in, behavior follows it. Here's the brutal truth. You are always casting votes. Every action is a ballot. You either vote for strength or you vote for weakness. There is no neutral. When you finish the workout you wanted to quit, that's a vote for resilience. When you complete the task you wanted to delay, that's a vote for focus. When you show up tired but execute anyway, that's a vote for standards. But when you rationalize, delay, negotiate, and avoid, you vote for a weaker identity. And over time, those votes compound. Let's talk about self-trust. Self-trust is your internal contract. It's the unspoken agreement that when you say something, you follow through. Without self-trust, you hesitate. Without self-trust, you overthink. Without self-trust, you need external validation because you don't fully believe in your own word. Imagine a bank account. Every promise you keep is a deposit. Every promise you break is a withdrawal. If you keep stacking deposits, your internal account grows strong. You walk into challenges with certainty. You speak with conviction. You take risks without paralysis. Why? Because you've proven to yourself that you show up. But if you constantly withdraw, if you constantly break commitments, your account goes negative. Now every new goal feels heavy, every new commitment feels doubtful. You don't say it out loud, but internally you think, I probably won't stick to it anyway. That thought is lethal, because once you don't believe yourself, you stop aiming high. You lower expectations to avoid disappointment. You shrink your goals to match your past performance. You stop declaring big targets because your history tells you don't follow through. This is how potential dies quietly, not through failure, through repeated self-betrayal. And here's what makes it worse. Other people might still believe in you, but you don't. You smile, you talk big, you post plans, but in silence you question your own consistency. That's the crack in the foundation. Picture a skyscraper. From the outside it looks powerful. Glass, steel, height. But if the foundation has cracks, pressure will expose them. Your goals are the skyscraper. Your identity is the foundation. Every broken promise is a crack. At first, nothing collapses. But under stress, under challenge, under adversity, the cracks widen. That's why some people look confident until pressure hits. Because confidence built on hype collapses. Confidence built on evidence stands. Let's define real confidence clearly. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is not motivational quotes. Confidence is accumulated proof. Proof that you do what you said you would do. Proof that when it gets uncomfortable, you don't fold. Proof that when no one is watching, you still execute. And that proof comes from small wins, not dramatic transformations, small, boring, repeated wins. Finishing what you start, keeping your word, showing up consistently. Small wins compound. 1 day of discipline doesn't change you. 30 days of discipline start shaping identity. 300 days, you're not the same person. Because your internal narrative shifts. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, you say, I don't quit. That's identity. And identity drives behavior automatically. The reason broken promises are so destructive is because they teach your brain something. They teach it that your word is flexible, that your commitments are optional, that your standards are emotional. And once your standards become emotional, your life becomes unstable. Some days you're strong, some days you're weak, some days you dominate, some days you disappear. That inconsistency erodes momentum. But when your word becomes law, especially to yourself, everything stabilizes. You stop negotiating, you stop overthinking, you stop asking, do I feel like it? You act because you decided. This is where it shifts from habit to character. Habits are behaviors. Character is identity under pressure. Anyone can perform when it's easy. Character shows when it's inconvenient, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're bored, when progress is slow. That's when you find out who you really are. Right now, your identity is being shaped daily, not by what you intend, by what you repeat. If quitting is repeated, quitting becomes part of you. If finishing is repeated, finishing becomes part of you. And the most dangerous thing about repeated quitting is this: it becomes normal. You stop feeling bad about it. You expect it. You anticipate inconsistency. You plan around your own weakness. That is identity decay. But the reverse is also true. Start small. Set a standard. Keep it. Tomorrow, keep it again and again and again. At first it feels forced, then it feels intentional, then it feels natural, then it feels like you. That's identity reconstruction. You don't become strong by declaring it. You become strong by proving it repeatedly. So here's the decision in this moment. Are you someone who keeps promises to yourself? Or are you someone who negotiates with your own standards? Because this isn't about productivity anymore. It's about integrity. Integrity is alignment between what you say and what you do. When that alignment is tight, you move with power. When that alignment is broken, you move with doubt. Every time you choose discipline, you repair the foundation. Every time you choose avoidance, you widen the cracks. And eventually those cracks either collapse your ambition or you reinforce them with action. From this point forward, understand something clearly. You are not just building habits. You are building a reputation with yourself. And that reputation will either empower your future or limit it. Now that we've exposed how broken promises damage identity, the next step is unavoidable. Because if you're responsible for your internal credibility, then you're responsible for everything. No more blame, no more externalizing. Now we enter the territory most people avoid, extreme ownership. Everything in your life right now is your responsibility, not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not the economy, not bad timing, not luck. You are the CEO of your life. And CEOs don't negotiate with excuses. They don't debate with weakness, they execute, period. Think about that for a second. If everything in your life, your health, your skills, your career, your mindset is your responsibility, then guess what? You are also in full control. Every setback, every delay, every failure, it's on you, no one else. You are both the problem and the solution. That's brutal, and it should terrify you. Because most people live their lives thinking someone else will fix things for them. That never happens. That's not how the world works. Most people operate in victim mode. They wake up in the morning and immediately hand over their power. I can't do this because my boss is unfair. I don't have time because life is too busy. I failed because the system is against me. Every excuse, every complaint, every blame is a vote for passivity. And the worst part, they think they're justified. They think these excuses are protection, but excuses are comfort in disguise. They lull you into safety while slowly eating your potential alive. Now, let's flip that mindset. The operator mentality is different. Operators don't wait for the perfect conditions. Operators don't blame anyone for their setbacks. Operators see reality clearly, measure what's in their control, and act. They say, I will make it work even if my boss is unfair. I will create time even in chaos. I will adapt and overcome no matter how stacked the system seems. Operators thrive where others crumble. They create conditions for success in the middle of adversity. This is where radical accountability comes in. Radical accountability is not saying, I'll try harder next time. It's saying, this is on me. I own this. I will fix it. I will execute. I will grow. Every failure you've had, every opportunity you missed, every broken promise, it's yours. And that should empower you, because if it's yours, you can control it. If you refuse to accept responsibility, it controls you. You become a passenger in your own life. Reactive, waiting, negotiating with weakness. Most people avoid responsibility because it's uncomfortable. It forces self-reflection. It forces brutal honesty. It exposes gaps in skill, in discipline, in resolve. And humans hate discomfort. But here's the thing, discomfort is where growth lives. Comfort is where failure lurks silently, eroding potential. The moment you stop externalizing blame is the moment you gain power. That's when you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, and you start rescuing yourself. Let's talk about failure. Most people make it worse by blaming everything but themselves. Traffic, timing, other people, circumstances. They construct elaborate narratives to preserve their ego. I couldn't do it because X happened. If Y didn't happen, I would have succeeded. Every excuse is a withdrawal from self-trust. Every rationalization chips away at your internal credibility. Operators don't make excuses. Operators internalize failure, extract the lesson, and move forward stronger. That's the difference between stagnation and domination. Here's the truth. Life will hit you with obstacles. Deadlines will feel impossible. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will be inconvenient. Pain and fatigue will arrive without warning. You can either complain, resist, and blame, or you can reframe, adapt, and train. Operators choose the latter. Every obstacle is an opportunity to sharpen your mind, toughen your body, and reinforce your identity. Pain becomes your teacher. Hardship becomes your coach. Setbacks become your gym. Think of yourself as a soldier marching in the rain. The storm is harsh. The mud slows you down. Your body screams. But the mission is non-negotiable. You don't curse the weather. You don't whine about the terrain. You march harder. You build endurance. You train your mind to operate under stress. That's extreme ownership. You accept conditions as they are, and you dominate them instead of complaining about them. Control what you can dominate and ignore what you cannot. You can't control the market, the boss, or the economy. You can control your effort, your preparation, your standards, your discipline. You can dominate your habits, your focus, your environment, your decisions. That's where your power lies. Operators know this instinctively. Victims never see it. This is where the mindset shift becomes irreversible. If you accept extreme ownership, excuses die. Weakness has no voice. The internal negotiation with comfort and delay ends. You start acting on principle, not on emotion. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You act because you decided. You act because your word matters. You act because identity is forged in execution, not intention. Every task you avoid is a vote for weakness. Every task you complete, especially the ones you don't feel like doing, is a vote for power. Every time you accept accountability for your failures instead of blaming, you reinforce resilience. Every time you embrace obstacles instead of resisting them, you expand capacity. Every time you take full ownership, you declare to yourself, I am not negotiable, I am disciplined, I am the standard. Let's be clear, extreme ownership is brutal, it's uncomfortable, it's relentless, but it's also liberating. Because once you stop negotiating, once you stop blaming, once you stop looking for permission or external validation, you realize no one controls your destiny but you. The war's inside your head, but now you are the general. You decide where effort goes, how standards are enforced, and what version of yourself survives today. So here's the challenge in this moment. Stop negotiating with excuses. Stop blaming external conditions. Stop waiting for perfect alignment. Look at yourself in the mirror and declare, I own this life. Everything, no excuses, no negotiation, no compromise. Everything I do, everything I fail at, every step forward or backward, it's mine. And because it's mine, I can fix it, I can dominate it, I can excel. From this point forward, there are no spectators. There is only you, the battlefield of your mind, and the mission to execute at the highest level, regardless of conditions, discomfort, or fatigue. Every decision you make from here is casting a vote for weakness or for strength. Extreme ownership is the weapon that ensures you never vote for weakness again. Look at your life, really look at it. Strip away all the stories you tell yourself. Strip away the distractions, the scrolling, the busy days, the social media validation, the late night excuses. What's left? What do you see when you stare coldly at yourself? Chances are you're not where you want it to be. Not close, not even near. And you know it. Because deep down, you have felt it for years. That gnawing dissatisfaction, that quiet shame that whispers every night, I could be more, I should be more, but I choose comfort instead. That's the fear we avoid, the fear of stagnation, the fear that you are wasting time, wasting talent, wasting life. And the scary part, it's true. If you don't act, you will look back 10 years from now and realize you traded your potential for convenience. Let me be blunt. You're comfortable right now, you're safe, you're numb, and that safety is killing you. Because safety isn't neutral, safety isn't peace, safety is slow death disguised as security. You have dreams, goals, ambitions, things you promised yourself you would achieve, but every day you negotiate with weakness and you inch farther away from them. Not because you're unlucky, not because you're not capable, but because you are choosing to move slowly, half-heartedly, and inconsistently. Stagnation isn't dramatic, it doesn't hit like a wrecking ball, it sneaks up. Day by day, decision by decision, vote by vote, it erodes your potential until one day you wake up and realize you're living someone else's life, a life watered down by convenience, distracted by nonsense, robbed by excuses. Let that sink in. You are capable of more. You know it. Every time you scroll when you could be grinding, every time you sleep instead of studying, every time you eat comfort instead of discipline, you are making a decision, a conscious or unconscious vote for mediocrity. And here's the kicker. The world doesn't wait for you to get ready. Life doesn't pause because you feel tired. Opportunity doesn't bend to your comfort zone. Every second you delay, someone with less talent, less preparation, less luck is winning the game you've been waiting to play. Do you feel that heat in your chest right now? That's your potential screaming. That's the unfulfilled version of yourself banging on the walls of your mind, demanding release. And yet, most people will silence it. They will scroll, numb it, justify it. They will sit in the chair of mediocrity pretending it's enough. And they will die quietly inside, never realizing what they could have been. This moment, this exact hour is the crossroads. You can keep negotiating with weakness, keep delaying discomfort, keep pretending progress will magically happen without your sweat, without your sacrifice, without your absolute ownership, or you can confront it. You can lean into the fear, you can stare it down. You can sit in the discomfort you've been avoiding your whole life and finally do the work that matters. Because here's the truth. Fear is not the enemy, complacency is. Resistance is not the problem. Resistance is proof. It's proof that you are alive, that the material you need to forge yourself stronger is here, but if you run from it, stagnation wins. Every single time. And the longer you wait, the louder it screams. The excuses will pile up, the responsibilities will feel heavier. The world will continue spinning, taking chances, making moves, building empires, and you'll watch from the sidelines wondering why your life doesn't match your ambition. This is your wake-up call. It's not coming from a friend. It's not coming from your boss. It's not coming from a mentor. It's coming from yourself, your future self, the one who knows exactly what you're capable of. And he's angry because you've been negotiating with comfort, negotiating with weakness, negotiating with the very standard that will define your life. Ask yourself, in 10 years, when you're looking back, what will haunt you more, the failures you experienced or the opportunities you never took? Here's the truth, it's not the failures. Failures are teachers. They build resilience, they forge strength. But the opportunities you never seized, those are ghosts that haunt a lifetime. That's the slow poison that will whisper, you could have been more. You should have done more. Right now, your internal clock is ticking. Every second is a chance to act. Every minute is a choice, fight or fold. And this isn't hype. This isn't motivation you watch and forget. This is confrontation. You have comfort whispering in your ear. Rest, delay, wait, take it easy. You have fear screaming in your chest. What if you fail? You have the world moving without pause. Here's the challenge. Sit in that fire. Lean into that fear. Let it burn. Let it fuel you. Let it make you intolerant of excuses. Because the only way to win is to act when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable. When your mind tells you to quit. When every part of your body, every whisper of your brain, every habit of your past screams no. This is where winners are made. This is where ordinary people are separated from the extraordinary. Ordinary people crumble under fear. Ordinary people stall under resistance. Ordinary people negotiate with weakness. Extraordinary people, they act, they execute, they dominate. They accept no excuse. They stare the fear, the resistance, the stagnation in the face, and they move anyway. And once you do, everything changes. Every micro quit you've taken loses its power. Every moment of hesitation loses its grip. Every excuse you've ever whispered to yourself is silenced because you've decided that you will no longer negotiate with weakness. This is the moment that can define the rest of your life. You can stay comfortable and safe and die slowly inside, or you can embrace the fire, accept the pain, take full ownership, and become someone your past self would envy. The clock is running, the fear is real. And if you don't act, stagnation will win quietly, mercilessly, permanently. The question is simple. Will you move or will you watch? Will you fight or will you fold? Will this be the hour your life changes or another hour lost to excuses? Because the choice is yours. And it always has been. Listen carefully. Motivation is a lie. It's fleeting. It shows up when it wants to and it disappears the moment life becomes hard. Motivation is the spark that lights the fire, but it cannot sustain you when the storm hits. Fire survives not because of sparks. Fire survives because it is fueled continuously by consistency, by standards, by discipline that doesn't negotiate with your feelings. Think about all the times you felt motivated to do something, waking up early, training, studying, tackling a project. And notice how long that motivation lasted. A day, maybe a morning, a week at best. After that, it vanishes, leaving only the hard reality that you have to act regardless. Life will always throw resistance at you, and if you rely on motivation alone, you will crumble. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is unavoidable. This is why discipline must become your default. Discipline doesn't ask permission. It doesn't pause to see if you feel like it. It doesn't negotiate. It executes every day, in every circumstance. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. Discipline doesn't care if the world seems unfair. Discipline doesn't wait for inspiration. Discipline is a contract you make with yourself, a commitment that survives beyond emotion. Where motivation whispers, rest today, start tomorrow. Discipline shouts, start now, because this is the standard. It's the bridge between potential and reality. Without it, talent remains dormant, dreams remain incomplete, and effort is scattered. Most people live by motivation. They wait for the feeling, for the spark, for the push. That's why they stop when it's hard. That's why they fail when pressure hits. That's why they settle for less than what they are capable of achieving. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't fail because of emotion. It doesn't pause because life is inconvenient. Discipline shows up over and over, and in that repetition, results become inevitable. You don't act because you feel like it. You act because you decided that your word is law. That is what separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. To operate on discipline, you need non-negotiable rules, standards that cannot bend based on your mood, your fatigue, or your excuses. Show up every day no matter what. Finish what you start, regardless of discomfort. Protect your standards even when no one is watching or noticing. Execute on the plan, not on your fleeting feelings. These rules become your armor. The world will throw chaos at you, resistance will rise. Distractions will scream for your attention. Without rules, you fold. With rules, you survive. With rules, you dominate. Discipline does not feel good. It does not have to. Motivation feels good, but it is unreliable. Discipline produces results even when it feels terrible. Your day is a battlefield. Without a plan, without structure, without deliberate execution, the human mind will seek the easiest path. It will find comfort. It will rationalize avoidance. It will steal your time and energy without permission. Structure is not restrictive. Structure is freedom. Waking at the same time every day, completing defined tasks, training your body, training your mind, controlling your environment. This is not limitation. It is leverage over chaos. It is the scaffolding upon which your progress is built. Structure removes decision fatigue and forces execution in moments when your mind wants to pause. Discipline compounds when habits stack. One action triggers another. You wake early, train your body, eat with intention, work with focus, rest strategically, and repeat. Each habit reinforces the next. One habit alone is fragile, but when stacked, momentum becomes unstoppable. Discipline is engineered. It's not accidental. It doesn't rely on temporary feelings. It relies on consistency, on deliberate action, and on rules that cannot be broken. Consistency is ruthless. It beats talent when talent is sporadic. It beats motivation when motivation is fleeting. Consistency endures because it is repeated relentlessly. Imagine someone running every day for a year. Some days they feel motivated. Some days their body screams. Some days they hate it, but they run anyway. That is how results accumulate. Not by inspiration, not by waiting for the perfect moment, but by showing up repeatedly, even when every fiber of the body and mind resists. Consistency is the mirror that exposes every weak decision you've ever made. It strips excuses, exposes rationalizations, and leaves one truth. If you act consistently, you win. If you do not, you lose. Period. Think of yourself as a train moving along tracks. The train doesn't stop because the engineer is tired. The train doesn't pause because the weather is bad or the path is difficult. It moves relentlessly, powered by its engine and guided by its tracks. That is discipline. That is execution without negotiation. Now imagine wandering aimlessly in a field without a map, without a plan, without rules. That is life driven by motivation. Some days you move forward, most days you wander. Most of the time you get nowhere. Which path do you want? The unstoppable train or the wanderer lost in the field? Before this section, we expose fear, stagnation, and internal excuses. We force confrontation with weakness. Now we move from fear to strategy, from reactive living to proactive execution. The intensity remains high, but it is now focused, channeled, structured. This is the blueprint to transform chaos and emotion into relentless, unstoppable progress. This is where motivation ends and discipline begins. The choices you make here will decide whether your potential remains dormant or becomes inevitable. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It isn't handed to you by circumstance, luck, or talent. It's forged. It's hammered into you through repeated suffering, through deliberate discomfort, and through choice. Life will hit you, and it will hit hard. It will hit in ways you are not prepared for. And if you have not trained yourself to endure, you will break. The good news is that this is trainable. Mental armor is a muscle. You strengthen it intentionally, or it will remain weak, and the first storm will expose every crack. Start by embracing controlled suffering, cold showers, grueling workouts, pushing through fatigue, long sessions of deep work when your brain screams to quit. These are not punishments. They are exercises in resilience. Every time you voluntarily endure discomfort, you teach yourself that suffering is temporary, that the mind can obey the body even when it wants to rebel. Every time you push past the point where quitting seems easy, you're building armor that no external challenge can penetrate. Mental armor also grows through delayed gratification. You have been trained to chase comfort, to seek immediate reward, to negotiate with patience. That habit has left your mind soft. To forge strength, you must fight the impulse for instant pleasure and replace it with long-term results. Skipping the sugar, completing the work, holding the position when everyone else gives up. Each act of restraint is another layer of steel over your mind. You are rewiring your brain to respect standards over emotion, to value long-term mastery over temporary ease. Enduring boredom is part of this process. Most people cannot sit with monotony. They cannot persist when the task feels repetitive, meaningless, or tedious, but boredom is the training ground of discipline. It is the arena where your true identity is tested. The mind will scream for distraction, for novelty, for comfort. The warrior in you answers only with execution. You persist, you continue, you dominate the mundane. And it is in the mundane over time that extraordinary strength is built. Emotional regulation is another layer of armor. Life will provoke you, people will test you, circumstances will frustrate you. The untrained mind reacts. The armored mind responds. Each moment you control your reaction. Each time you pause before exploding. Each time you maintain composure under pressure, you are tempering steel. Anger, fear, anxiety, frustration, these are tools, not masters. You learn to use them, not be consumed by them. That is how mental armor transforms stress into fuel. Stress inoculation is the final piece. You cannot wait for crises to build resilience. You must simulate adversity. You must impose challenges, discomfort, and constraints on yourself when there is still control, so that when real storms hit, your mind does not fracture. Cold exposure, high-intensity physical challenges, intense learning sessions, high-pressure projects, each is a rehearsal for the chaos of life. Each is a test of endurance. Each failure and each victory under controlled stress strengthens the steel around your mind, making you impervious to fear and indecision. Think of the blacksmith hammering molten steel. Each strike, each fold, each quench in water is painful, controlled, deliberate. With each repetition, the steel becomes harder, stronger, more resilient. That is what you are doing when you push through discomfort, when you delay gratification, when you endure boredom, when you master your emotions, when you stress test yourself. You are forging your mental armor. The heat of adversity does not destroy you, it strengthens you. Or consider the warrior training before battle. No one enters war without preparation. Every drill, every force march, every repetition is designed to ensure survival under pressure. If the warrior is soft in training, he dies in combat. Life is the battlefield, and you must train in the same way. Every voluntary struggle, every deliberate act of resilience, every time you refuse to quit in training, builds the armor that will allow you to survive and dominate in the real war of life. By the end of this phase, you are no longer the person who bends under pressure, who folds when life challenges you, who negotiates with weakness. You are hardened. You are deliberate. You are unstoppable. Every layer of mental armor you build today will protect you tomorrow. And the intensity of this training carries you into the next phase where empowerment is no longer theoretical, where identity shifts from potential to reality, and where the strength you have forged begins to define every decision, every action, every outcome. From this moment on, you are no longer a spectator of your own life. You are no longer negotiating with weakness, or waiting for motivation, or hoping the conditions will be perfect. Those days are over. If you want change, if you want to rise, if you want to dominate, it starts with your identity. Who you are, not what you feel, not what you dream, not what you hope to achieve. Who you are when no one is watching, who you are when life hits hardest, who you are in the moments that define you. Becoming the standard is not about rules written on paper. It's about rules written in your bones. It is about the version of yourself that operates relentlessly, that refuses to compromise, that refuses to bend under pressure. It is about deciding unequivocally who you are and living that standard every single day. This is the moment when potential becomes reality. This is the moment when identity shifts from wishful thinking to unshakable truth. Start with identity-based goals. Stop chasing vague outcomes like, I want to be successful or I want to be strong. Those are temporary targets. They are external and fleeting. Identity-based goals are internal. They are anchored in who you declare yourself to be. Say it out loud. I am the type of person who does not quit. I am the type of person who delivers, no matter how hard. I am the type of person who honors my word even when no one sees. Let those words echo through your mind and reverberate through your actions. The shift is subtle at first, but unstoppable once it takes root. Every decision you make now is a vote for this new identity. Every action either reinforces it or erodes it. Personal standards must rise, not by increments, but by intent. Standards are not negotiable. They are non-negotiable boundaries that define your life. You eat like a disciplined person. You train like a disciplined person. You work like a disciplined person. You speak like a disciplined person. You sleep like a disciplined person. Even in the smallest moments when no one is watching, your standards guide every choice. Mediocrity is no longer acceptable. Excuses are irrelevant. Weakness is not tolerated. The standard is set, and you live by it. Integrity is the foundation of this transformation. Real strength is measured by what you do when no one is watching. If your integrity falters in solitude, then your character is weak. Discipline is nothing without integrity. It is easy to follow rules when someone is monitoring you. It is easy to maintain effort when your peers are observing. True discipline is invisible, it is quiet, it is relentless. It is doing the work day after day in the shadows, knowing that your actions define the person you are becoming. Leadership begins with yourself. Before you can lead anyone else, you must master your own mind. You must own your habits, your decisions, your reactions, your commitments. You must enforce the standard against yourself first, before expecting it from others. The stronger you are internally, the more influence you exert externally. Leadership without internal mastery is hollow. Leadership built on identity and discipline is unstoppable. You become a lighthouse in the storm, a constant in chaos, a fixed point others look to when everything else wavers. The journey to becoming the standard is not comfortable. It is uncomfortable in every sense. You will feel resistance, physical, mental, emotional. You will be tempted to compromise, to negotiate, to fold. That is when the transformation occurs. You do not retreat, you do not rationalize, you do not wait, you act, you execute, you endure. Every act of endurance, every refusal to compromise, every time you live by the identity you declared adds a layer of armor around your mind, a layer of steel around your character. Visualization is a tool to cement this identity. See yourself waking at the same time every morning, performing the actions that define you. See yourself speaking with conviction, acting with integrity, executing without hesitation. See yourself handling adversity with composure, using resistance as fuel. Your mind cannot distinguish between visualization and reality when practiced consistently. The more you internalize this image, the more it becomes inseparable from who you are. You begin acting in alignment with this identity automatically, instinctively, relentlessly. This phase of identity reconstruction is a crucible. The old self is challenged. Comfort, laziness, distraction, excuses, and fear all come forward to test you. But they are only illusions. They are remnants of a weaker version of yourself. You stare them down. You refuse them entry. You refuse negotiation. You refuse compromise. The standard you set is carved in stone. It is unbreakable. Every act, every choice, every repetition reinforces it. Weakness becomes foreign. Strength becomes instinct. Discipline becomes identity. Think of it as building a fortress. The foundation is integrity. The walls are standards. The weapons are habits. The guards are discipline and resilience. Once complete, no external force can penetrate it. Storms may come. Life may hit hard. People may doubt you, but the fortress remains. You remain. You are untouchable in the arena of your own mind because you became the standard. By the time this hour is complete, you will no longer measure yourself by temporary feelings. You will no longer chase motivation. You will no longer wait for external validation. You will measure yourself by your standards, by your integrity, by the identity you declared and enforced every day. You will understand that your life is the result of who you choose to be, not what you hope to achieve, not how you feel in any given moment. The standard is you. You are now the standard. From this point forward, every decision, every action, every effort is a reflection of the person you have chosen to become. Nothing less is acceptable. Anything short of your declared standard is unacceptable. The person you are becoming will not compromise. The person you are becoming will execute relentlessly. The person you are becoming will endure adversity, absorb pain, and transform it into power. This is identity reconstruction. This is transformation from passive potential into active dominance. This is the moment when your inner self finally aligns with the outer world through consistent action, relentless discipline, and unshakable standards. You are no longer the version of yourself who waits, hesitates, or negotiates with weakness. You are the version who commands, executes, and leads. You are the lighthouse in the storm. You are the code carved in stone. You are the standard. From here, the final crescendo of the video will push you beyond thought into action, reinforcing this identity and leaving no room for retreat. You have seen yourself differently. You have declared your identity. And from this point forward, every choice is a declaration of who you have become. Here's the brutal truth. Most people spend their lives drifting. They scroll, they watch, they talk, they complain, they sleep, and somehow they convince themselves they are busy. They are not busy, they are distracted, they are avoiding responsibility, they are negotiating with weakness. And every day they pass, untapped potential dies silently in their hands. That stops now. Because there is a rule, a simple, unforgiving rule that will separate those who succeed from those who stagnate. It is called the 60-minute rule. One focused, brutal, undistracted hour per day, applied consistently, will change everything. Not next month, not next year. Every single day you apply it, your life moves forward in ways you cannot even imagine. 1 hour, 60 minutes, nothing more, nothing less. It's not a suggestion. It's not a motivational concept you can decide to maybe try. It's a commitment, a non-negotiable standard. You take that hour and you dedicate it entirely to master your mind, your body, your skill, your craft. Zero distractions, no scrolling, no excuses, no negotiation. This is sacred time. This is the arena where results are forged. This is the hour where the person you want to become is built. Let's break it down. 1 hour per day dedicated to deep work, to focus without interruption, to producing results that matter. You know what deep work is? It's the uncomfortable, unglamorous, relentless effort that no one sees. It's the hour where your mind locks in, where distraction is silenced, where your creativity, your skill, your intelligence, your attention are operating at full capacity. 1 hour of deep work per day doesn't sound like much, but compounded over time, it is devastatingly powerful. 365 hours per year, 365 hours where most of the world was distracted, scattered, waiting, negotiating. 365 hours where you pulled ahead, where you built mastery, where you created advantage. This is the power of focus. This is the 60-minute rule. Another hour can be dedicated to skill building. The skill you choose matters, but the principle is universal. 1 hour every day, repeated relentlessly, is how talent becomes expertise. You don't rely on chance, you don't rely on motivation, you rely on deliberate, repeated effort. You force improvement. You train when you are tired. You train when you are frustrated. You train when your mind says enough. And each day, skill compounds. Each day, knowledge solidifies. Each day, you inch closer to mastery. A single hour may seem small. You may think, what difference can 1 hour make? 1 hour every day shifts trajectories. 1 hour every day builds pyramids. 1 hour every day stacks bricks for skyscrapers. 1 hour every day is the seed of a legacy. Physical training deserves the same hour. The body is the engine that drives your life. Discipline in the mind is useless without strength in the body. 1 hour of focused physical exertion, even if it's brutal, even if you hate it, even if your body screams to quit, that hour trains more than your muscles. It trains willpower. It trains resilience. It trains your refusal to surrender when every cell in your body wants comfort. 1 hour of training per day is a war against weakness, against fatigue, against the negotiation with mediocrity that is killing you quietly. Those 60 minutes teach the body what the mind is capable of, and they teach the mind what the body can endure. They form a bond between thought and action that is unbreakable. Now here's the kicker. Zero distractions. This is sacred. Once you start this hour, nothing enters. Phone off, notifications off, email off, social media dead, no interruptions. 1 hour of pure, unbroken execution. You will feel uncomfortable at first. The mind will fight. It will protest. It will beg for relief. That is exactly the moment you must push harder. That is the crucible where your focus is forged. That is the threshold where you separate from mediocrity. If you can honor this hour every day, if you can protect it at all costs, then no one can stop you. You will become unstoppable simply by committing to focus. Consider the compounding effect. 1 hour per day, every day becomes 365 hours a year. Do you understand what 365 hours can do? That is hundreds of hours more than the average person spends actually growing, actually improving, actually pushing limits. That is hundreds of hours of advantage you hold over your competition. Most people waste that time on noise, entertainment, distraction, and excuses. You spend it in execution, you spend it building mastery, you spend it creating results. That is how momentum works. That is how the trajectory of your life shifts. That is the power of this 60-minute rule. Think of a skyscraper being built, brick by brick, floor by floor. 1 hour is a single brick. Day after day, brick after brick, the building rises. You do not see results immediately. You do not see the progress hour by hour, day by day, but the structure is being built. When the first floor is complete, you marvel. When the fifth floor is complete, you begin to feel unstoppable. When the entire skyscraper stands, everyone sees the result, but only you understand the hours of relentless effort that went into every brick. This is the metaphor for your life. 1 hour of focus every day is a brick in the skyscraper of your destiny. 1 hour of deliberate effort every day shifts your trajectory. 1 hour every day separates you from the world that waits, distracted and distracted again. Even a 1-degree shift changes trajectory. The smallest consistent adjustment, when repeated over time, has enormous consequences. This hour every day is that shift. It is the 1-degree change that compounds into momentum, into results, into a life you once thought was impossible. Most people fail not because they are incapable, but because they never start. They never show up consistently. They negotiate with comfort, with distraction, with excuses. You will not. You will show up. You will dominate this hour. You will protect it as your sacred battlefield. You will execute, and with that hour, you will crush mediocrity. Action replaces theory. All the planning, all the watching, all the thinking, all the dreaming is meaningless unless this hour is honored. No shortcuts, no negotiating with weakness, no skipping, no postponing. 1 hour of execution every day, compounding relentlessly. That is how winners are made. That is how the gap between you and everyone else grows. That is how mental toughness, skill, discipline, and strength converge into unstoppable momentum. This is not motivation. Motivation fades. This is action. This is execution. This is life built brick by brick, hour by hour, uncompromising, relentless, unstoppable. So here's the challenge. Here's the rule. Here's the moment that defines the rest of your life. Commit to 1 hour per day of unbroken, focused, disciplined effort. Protect it at all costs. Make it sacred. Make it non-negotiable. Let the distractions scream. Let the excuses beg. Let the world pull at you. None of it matters. This hour is yours. This hour is the proving ground. This hour is where you forge skill, strength, and resilience that will outlast every challenge, every storm, every moment of weakness. The 60-minute rule is simple, but it is brutal. It will demand you. It will test you. It will break you if you falter. But if you honor it, if you commit, if you execute relentlessly, nothing will ever be able to hold you back. 1 hour a day, every day. That is the standard. That is the commitment. That is the foundation of unstoppable momentum. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for inspiration. Do not negotiate with weakness. Act now. 1 hour today, 1 hour tomorrow, 1 hour the next day, brick by brick, degree by degree. The skyscraper of your life will rise, and nothing in this world will be able to stop it. Look in the mirror. Really look. Don't just glance. Don't just see a reflection of your face. See the person you've been. See the person who negotiates with weakness, who hides from discomfort, who waits for permission, who waits for motivation, who waits for some perfect moment that will never come. That person has failed before. That person will fail again if nothing changes. And here is the brutal truth. Nothing outside of you can change that. No one will rescue you. No one will wait. No one will force you. The only person who can change your trajectory, who can transform your life, is the person staring back at you right now. And that person, that version of you that has been hiding, must decide, must choose, must commit. This is the moment that separates the average from the elite. This is the line between mediocrity and mastery. Pain is temporary, yes, but regret is permanent. The sting of inaction will echo in your mind far longer than the soreness of effort, the fatigue of struggle, or the discomfort of discipline. Every second you waste negotiating with weakness, every excuse you whisper, every delay, you plant seeds of regret that will grow into chains. And one day, when you have the time to look back, you will see them, and the weight will crush you quietly, relentlessly. Pain is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Decide now. Do you want the pain of growth or the pain of looking back, wishing you had acted? Discipline is freedom. This is not a phrase to recite. This is a reality you must internalize. Discipline is the only force that guarantees control over your life. Without it, chaos governs. Without it, decisions are reactive. Without it, weakness dictates your trajectory. But when you embrace discipline, when you decide that standards and action are non-negotiable, when you make every choice a reflection of the person you are becoming, suddenly the world becomes predictable, manageable, and conquerable. The chains of procrastination, of distraction, of indecision fall away. Discipline does not restrict you. Discipline liberates you. It arms you to endure suffering, to push through adversity, to rise above limits you once thought unbreakable. And suffering, the kind that you feel deep in your muscles, in your chest, in your mind, is not a punishment. It is a gateway. Every bead of sweat, every aching joint, every moment when your mind screams for relief, every time you stay seated at the desk grinding when every fiber in you wants to quit, every time you step into the gym tired, frustrated, or distracted, every moment like that is a test. Every moment is a forge. Every moment builds resilience. Every moment strengthens identity. The elite are not born. They are hammered into existence through deliberate suffering, repeated action, and unwavering refusal to negotiate with weakness. The path is painful, the path is lonely, but it is also the only path that separates those who merely exist from those who dominate their reality. Think about this: 1 hour, one focused, ruthless, non-negotiable hour every day. 1 hour that could transform your trajectory. 1 hour that could turn potential into results. 1 hour that could force you to confront every excuse, every weakness, every rationalization you have been hiding behind. That hour is the knife that cuts mediocrity from your life. That hour is the threshold between the life you live now and the life you deserve. That hour is not negotiable. That hour is not optional. That hour is yours to seize or waste. And here is the hardest truth. Most people will waste it. Most people will wait for motivation. Most people will negotiate with comfort. Most people will let the hour slip by and they will continue to live in the shadow of what they could have been. You cannot be most people. You must be relentless. You must act. You must dominate. There will be no applause. There will be no congratulations from anyone else. There will be no instant validation. No one is keeping score but yourself. No one sees the battle raging in your mind, the fight against weakness, the struggle against excuses. This is internal warfare, fought in silence and solitude in the hours that others waste. Results are the only applause. Discipline executed daily, relentlessly, produces results. That is the only recognition you need. That is the only validation that matters. Every day you act according to your standard, you are the victor. Every day you fold, you are the loser. The war is quiet, but its consequences are permanent. So what will it be? Will you keep negotiating? Will you wait for someone else to push you? Will you allow fear, comfort, and distraction to govern your choices one more time? Or will you look yourself in the eye, feel the discomfort of accountability, and make a decision that will echo across every day of your life from this moment forward? This is the hour to decide. This is the day to declare. This is the moment to commit. You are not who you were. You are not who you were yesterday. You are the person who stands here now, who decides, who executes, who refuses to negotiate with weakness ever again. You are the person who will take ownership, who will endure suffering, who will conquer resistance, who will live according to standards that others cannot even comprehend. Look in the mirror again. That person staring back is not weak. That person staring back has a choice. That person staring back is capable of transformation. That person staring back is one decision away from a life that is unrecognizable from the one you have now. The decision is simple. Act, commit, own it. This hour, right now, can be the most powerful 60 minutes of your year, or just another hour you let slip into the void. There is no middle ground. Strong minds choose. Weak minds wait. Which one are you? The choice is yours, and it is final. Pain will come. Regret will follow if you fail. But triumph, growth, and unstoppable momentum are yours the moment you refuse to back down, the moment you honor your standard, the moment you declare to yourself that from now on, every action, every hour, every decision will be aligned with the person you have chosen to become. You do not negotiate, you do not falter, you do not compromise, you decide and you act and you dominate. And if you are ready to continue building your mind, to push further, to dominate every hour, then do this next. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe not as a passive click, but as a commitment to yourself. Every video, every lesson, every push will remind you that weakness is optional and strength is a decision. Subscribe and join the relentless pursuit of growth, discipline, and unstoppable momentum. This is your final crescendo, the hour of decision, the hour that separates thought from action, potential from mastery, excuses from results. 1 hour, one commitment, one declaration, one life transformed. Look yourself in the mirror. Make the silent commitment. Begin. And from this hour onward, nothing will ever be able to stop you.